All right, guys, new morning, getting ready to get started on some stuff. So yesterday I went and got some paint, went ahead and painted those steering parts, and then I didn't do anything else. I just took the rest of the day off. Anyway, I'll show you that stuff here. So this is the steering stuff for the car, Steve's car. So I did cast iron gray on the tie rods, gloss black on the clamps, semi-gloss black on the tie rod sleeves. So it'll look really nice with some detail there and still look OEM and not be too flashy. And I think that'll look nice. The center link I painted with urethane single stage black out of a spray gun. So that's going to be really, really durable for years to come. Now, I've mentioned it before in some of my videos. I'm not a fan of spray paints in a restoration, but you know, there's a lot of little stuff that you can do with spray can. But I like to use the Duplicolor engine enamels, and the reason is they're more durable, they resist chemicals, and they're higher heat. And if you prep the part properly, it actually will stick without having to prime some stuff. Like, I don't prime my engines when I paint them. Like, I'll just put the Chevy orange on there, but I do prep the block. But anyway, in this case, you know, that spray paint will work just fine for that and still hold up. I did put several coats on all that stuff, so it should last for a long time. But the plan for today is to get the steering linkage on the car, and then that'll be done. And I do need to work on that steering box a little bit. I talked about that several months ago when I detail painted it and, you know, fixed it up, and I probably need to touch on it again. So this newly used GoPro I got off eBay, it does work, but I've been noticing a little ways into the videos, the gimbal sticks and it starts getting shaky. So I'm getting a little frustrated with GoPros in general because, you know, if they're new, they work pretty good, but once they get some age to them and you use them quite a bit, they just don't seem to work too good. But it is what it is. So they had painted the whole steering box, all this stuff, all just black. So I had went in and detail painted it cast iron gray, put a brass plug in it, painted the lid semi-gloss black, and then I put polished up some stainless button head Allen bolts and put in there. And then I used acetone and cleaned off all the black paint off the hardware. And, you know, I took it all out and detail painted it, cleaned it all off the rubber insert there. But this is what I want to do to the car to make me feel better. So I did not install this stuff. This was already done on the car. And if you don't know, steering boxes on Tri-5 Chevys, the shaft that comes out of it that goes all the way to the steering wheel, the shaft is in with the box. So that's one piece. So when you take a steering box out of a Tri-5, you have to take the column, you know, some of the stuff off the column, and then you have to pull everything out through this way. So when they got, and I did a tilt steering column for the car, they cut off the shaft, and all they put on there was this one little weld right here. And when you really look at it, it doesn't really look like it's stuck to me. Then there's two set screws, which these have a pointy end on them, so when you snug those down pretty good, they're going to dig into that shaft a little bit and then put the nut on there so they don't back off. To me, that's not enough. I don't feel comfortable with that one weld. If I would have done this, like they used a MIG, I would have at least put another weld over here after this one cooled off. But had I be doing this to my cars, I would take this to a welding shop because I don't have a TIG welder, and I don't know how to TIG weld either. I would have this TIGged. But anyway, I would be worried about a lot of heat going into the steering box from the welding, so I'd probably have them do just a little bitty, you know, stitch, and then let it cool, and then continue on, let it cool, continue on, you know. Anyway, so what I want to do is I want to pull these set screws back out, these two set screws, and I want to put a piece of tubing in there if I have something that fits that hole, the threaded hole for the stud there. I want to set a piece of little tubing in there and then use a drill with a drill bit. And my idea is the drill bit won't get into the threaded part on that and mess it up. That tubing will keep it from doing that. And I just want to, you know, maybe a 1/16 of an inch or something drill into it, just so that pointy end on these has a little bit more depth, a little bit more bite. Because This is a manual steering car. This is not power steering. And then he's got wider than stock tires, so it's going to have a lot of tension on it in this joint right here. So to make me feel more comfortable with something that I didn't do, that's what I'm going to do to correct that. So just to make me feel better. But anyway, I posted a video last night, and I was talking about the possibility of Steve might have to come and pick the car up and take it back home, put it in his garage for a while. And some of you guys commented, and I don't know if some of the people that commented, maybe they didn't watch the whole video entirely or something, or maybe some people took it the wrong way. Steve's not mad at me, and I'm not mad at Steve. There's no animosity there. The simple fact is you guys need to look at it from his point of view. Like, look through his eyes. When he came over here Monday and he walks in here and he looks at the car, it doesn't look like anything was done. And so, you know, me, if that was me, I would be like, well, what'd you do, you know? And me being on the spot, I couldn't think of everything I did, because it's been like a month and 3 weeks of little tidbit work that I did come out and work on the car. I didn't put a lot of hours in this winter on this car. I don't like cold weather, is pretty much bottom line. But now that the weather's getting warmer and I can wear short sleeve shirts, I'm enjoying it. So I've been coming out and putting a lot more time in it. So anyway, don't think bad of Steve, because he's not mad. And I want you guys to understand something about him in particular. He is my cousin, and he's got a heart of gold. He is not a mean guy. And I can tell you 100% without the shadow of a doubt, if I took a vacation today and drove to Florida, from Oklahoma, and I drove to Florida, and the car broke down or I was stranded or something, I guarantee you I could call him. He would go probably load up some clothes and he'd drive out and pick me up without question. Guaranteed. That's the way he is. So don't think bad of him. It's not his fault. You guys need to understand, it takes a lot of money to fix a car, or restore a car. He's already paid one shop to do it, and now it's here and I'm redoing stuff. This is pretty much a full-blown restoration. So anyway, that's what I'm getting at. I don't want you guys to think, you know, he's mad. And I totally get it, because I told him on the phone the last time I talked to him was, you know, I haven't really done a whole lot of work to the car, but anyway, I hadn't figured up the calendar hours yet, see how much I put in there. So obviously when I figured it up, I was like, holy crap. And he's obviously going to be surprised, you know what I mean? But anyway, I totally understand it. And the other side of it is, we're not the kind of people that has a bank vault full of money. You know what I mean? You know, if you're low on money, you're low on money. That's it. And if he needs to come and get it and take a break for a while, it's totally understandable. I'm not going to be mad about it. It's the way it is, you know, with some people. There are guys out there that do have closets full of money, and they'll open up a restoration catalog and buy the best parts money can buy. But we're not those people. It took me 10 years to build my car because of money. So, and I don't think Steve is any different. But anyway, that's what I wanted to get across there. Now, there was a couple more things that I thought of course, after the video was put on, that I did, but it's, again, more stuff that is not visible when you walk in the garage and see the car. It still looks the same. I'd put the rear shocks on, which putting rear shocks on doesn't take very long. And then I did put a new pinion snubber on the body. And the only reason I did, it still had the original one on there. It still looked like it was in good shape, but when they undercoated the car underneath, they sprayed that and all, like pinion snubber and all was coated. Like, I'd have at least taped it off, but there was a brand new one in a box of parts. So I went ahead and changed it out. However, the stud and the nut was seized, you know, rusty from being on there since '55. So I had to cut it off and then replace it. But anyway, another thing that I did, and this does take a little bit of time, and had I have had my GoPro at the time, I would have showed this a little bit better, because I had not touched on this. But and I'm going to go through it on my wife's car, but probably maybe not, because it is a 4-door. Now, in particular on a hardtop, you know, when you roll the quarter window down, the door window down, there's not a post here. So GM installed on the hardtops and convertibles this extra mount here. I'm assuming convertible. I've never had one. I can only assume that they have one. I'm assuming they do because I don't have a B-pillar as well. This is hardtop only, pretty much, probably convertible too. And it's for support for this B-pillar section right here, so this doesn't flex. Anyway, if you've ever taken tri-fives apart and taken the body mounts and cushions and everything out, sometimes you'll find little square, thin silver cushions in there with the corners folded down. That's a shim. So in Steve's car, in this case, you know, his doors and everything was already adjusted to the car. So when you change a frame that's from another car, and then you put urethane body mounts on it, which are not going to squish like rubber like was on here before, it's going to change some things. So to correct it, to try to get those gaps back, you can install shims to adjust. So like in this case on this door, I had adjusted the door up when the car first came here because it was so far down. So I adjusted the door and the striker and got it to where it worked. It doesn't really fit the car real well. It's not terrible. It's probably about like it was when it was new, but it's a little bit tight up here. So I thought when I put all the body mounts in and I tightened down, I checked all the doors and everything. The passenger side's great. I didn't have to do anything to that. But this one I thought, well, maybe I'll put a shim in there. So I loosened all the body mounts back off on this side, and I didn't have any of those factory shims. So when you buy a urethane body mount kit, they don't come with them. So if you take your car apart, don't throw your shims away, especially if you have a hardtop or convertible. I've never had to use them on a sedan, but anyway, I used just a thick gold cad grade 8 washer in there that was really too thick. And when I put it in on top between the body brace and the cushion, it made this too wide. It widened that up there. So it just put too much. It basically would raise it up, which is going to stretch these apart, is what it did in this case. So it was too much. So I ended up having to, you know, I'd tighten them all down, but I ended up loosening them back off, taking that shim back out, and then tighten it back down. But anyway, that's just another thing that took a little bit of time. You know, I don't know how much time I spent on it, but anyway, that, you know, you can lose track of time when you're piddling with something is what I'm saying. But that's pretty much where I'm at. I again, don't think bad of Steve. It's not his fault. He doesn't have a closet full of money. He can just shell out thousands of bucks all at once. And I don't have a set schedule with him on pay. It's just every once in a while I'll text him and, you know, figure up his bill and text him, and he always comes and pays me. It's not a matter of not getting paid. It's just I don't have a set schedule. So but anyway, that side of it is he just bought those new tires and wheels. That was a lot of money. And you know, then I presented him with a bill that was more than I thought it was going to be. So you can kind of see where the shock kind of might have hit. That's a lot of money all at once is what I'm saying. But anyway, I just wanted to clarify that. So anyway, I'm going to get to it, try to get the steering linkage put up, work on that steering box, try to get those holes, you know, drilled in a little bit. And I hate to put the steering column in there, but for it to roll, it needs a column, you know, so you can steer it. You could steer it by the tires, but I didn't really want to put the column in until the dash cluster goes in, the instrument cluster. Now it had the original instrument cluster in it. When I was going to his house and working on it, I installed all that and wired everything up. He turned around and then bought the Classic Instruments, you know, the more modern electric setup that looks factory, but it has more gauges, and I think there's a tack maybe, and it's all electronic. Like the speedometer is now electronic and stuff, so I've got to go in and rewire, set up that. I think there's a little electronic box that I have to mount into the dash and stuff, so it's going to be quite a bit involved just to do the instrument cluster. And one thing about it, when I was at his house, I went to do that stupid kit, that Classic Instruments kit, comes with a glass lens. And you're supposed to put these little teeny tiny little clear spongy cushions on your cluster deal there, or the lens, I don't remember. And then when I put the glass lens in there and then put the back on and tightened down, it broke it. So I went to Lowe's and I bought some acrylic, because to me, I wouldn't want glass in an instrument cluster. There's probably a reason why it got changed from glass lenses to acrylic. In a crash, a really bad crash, that glass could come out there and cut you. You know what I mean? I think that's stupid. It should be acrylic. But I don't know. I'm not a company that makes parts. So I went to Lowe's and I bought a sheet of acrylic and I traced it out. I taped it back together. It just broke it in half. It just put a crack right down the middle. It wasn't tempered. And anyway, I put masking tape on it, put it together, and I used it as a template. I traced it out and I tried cutting that out and I broke the acrylic. It cracked. So anyway, I went down and got another sheet and I have not attempted to cut it out again. I'm thinking about taking it down here to a glass place and see if they'll cut it for me, because I don't want to crack another one. That acrylic is kind of touchy stuff, or plexiglass, whatever the heck it is that you get at Lowe's. I found a sheet that was the exact thickness of that glass, but to me it's a little bit safer in an accident to have acrylic lens than glass flying out of it, you know what I mean? But anyway, I'm gonna get to work. Thanks for watching, guys.